Welcome to Presence, a global conversation for a new earth.
And hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Presence. I am Doug King, and I am happy to be here today to introduce a new book that's been released. But first, I do want to say thanks to everybody who reached out over the last few weeks since the passing of Dad. Danae and I have spent time with family, and I have heard from a number of you through email and various sources. And so on behalf of the family and everyone, just want to say thank you to everyone for your thoughts, your kind stories about what his writings and his work has meant in your life, and so on and so forth. So thank you so much for reaching out. And I wanted to get this episode out today because as we all continue on our life's journey, one page leads to the next, and one generation leads to the next. And each of us are all on a journey that is simply part of what's been going on now for millennia. And I am getting ready to begin a new series. We've already set up a tab on the website called Global Conversations. And what I'm going to introduce today, this new book, is going to fit in absolutely perfectly. And the title of the book, and we've got it up in the newsletter, we're putting it on the Facebook page, and I'm putting it on my personal page. This book is entitled The Holomovement, Embracing Our Collective Purpose to Unite Humanity. Now, the Holomovement is a term that was introduced by quantum physicist David Bohm. And I'd like to read a quote from Dr. Will Keepan in the foreword of this book, The Holomovement, just briefly describing what is this Holomovement and what in the world does it have to do with the Presence approach to an integral theology. Well, Dr. Keepan says that the holo, H-O-L-O, in Holomovement refers both to the holistic inclusion of all dimensions of reality, as well as the fractal or holographic structure that enables every element to reveal detailed information about every other element in the universe. It's a holistic approach. Dr. Keepan goes on to say that the Holomovement integrates scientific, spiritual, aesthetic, and artistic truths and sensibilities, and includes all forms, both visible and invisible. I've talked briefly in other episodes and podcasts about concepts in quantum physics that come from David Bohm, such as his understanding of the explicate order and the implicate order. We'll find both of those orders in the biblical narrative. We're going to see how the biblical narrative is actually a Holomovement story. Yes, it does include religion. It certainly includes religion. But religion is just a step on the spiral toward that which actually transcends religion and moves into a holistic, interconnected, universal whole. The book that you see here in the newsletter and so forth, Holomovement book, is divided into two sections, and it has an interval section between those two sections. So you have section one, then an interval, then section two. Now, the first section is 8 chapters that's done by 20 different authors who are contributing to those 8 chapters, and they're discussing the nature of the implicate order and what that means in our lives, what it means in the universe, all the way down to families and individuals. The second section of the book is also 8 chapters, and here we've got contributions by 18 different authors. The interval section that sits in the middle of the book is about the integral principles that interconnect these two orders, that describe this connection between explicate order and implicate order. And here we'll find 5 authors who contribute to this interval section of the book. And it is in this section that I am one of 5 authors who contribute. This is very exciting that Presence has been invited into this discussion with all these other authors, because when you're talking about some 40 authors that have contributed to this massive work that begins in the quantum field and moves its way all the way up into the biological field and the ecological field and the psychological field, philosophical field, etc., etc., etc. It's exciting to know that the things we're proposing about spirituality and a new paradigm, a brand new paradigm that's appearing now at this time in history, that involves moving long-held religious paradigms into a trans-religious space. Not jettisoning the biblical narrative, not getting rid of the wisdom narrative, but rather seeing a reinterpretation of it, just as quantum physicists are saying that the latest discoveries are bringing about a reinterpretation of physics, turning old science paradigms on their head. The same is true of all these other authors who are working for a lot of different diverse fields. This is what's exciting. I mean, you have psychology and philosophy and all these things. I'm talking about economics. And they're all talking about a point in time at the beginning of this 3rd millennium where a paradigm shift is happening. This book represents a new synergy of like-minded people who are proposing a number of paradigm shifts. Paradigm shifts away from long-held understandings which have been regarded simply as the way things are. The way things are is what we consider to be assumed until someone questions and then proposes something that brings about change, that brings about transformation. So there are many types of activism that are proposed by the authors of this book relating to these diverse fields of understandings. And they all agree that changes in human understanding and human activism in all these fields begins with paradigm activism. Paradigm activism is necessary to change the thoughts understandings and interpretations of these previously held, long held views. You have to start with a paradigm activism that says, let's change the paradigm. And that's exactly what Presence has been proposing for some time, going all the way back to the work of Dad that you all have followed, his writings. This is how you become, in the world of religion, it's how you become a heretic. You propose something outside the boundaries of currently held views. And now Presence has been invited to join the evolutionary leaders movement. And in joining these evolutionary leaders to bring about the pursuit of a new and exciting movement. One of the things that struck me as I read all these chapters, gave thought to contributions to this book, is in chapter 13 of the book, there is a quote from Terry Patton, who has passed. And I'd like to read this quote because it is so applicable to all of us who have been following this Presence message that integrates so beautifully with the nature of nature, with Bohm's discoveries about the Holomovement. Here's the quote from Terry Patton. Here and there, and in increasingly more and more places, deep friendships, powerful alliances, fuller cooperation, and new levels of community will break new ground, building know-how and new capacities. These pilot projects and cultural experiments might at first seem like exceptional fringe phenomena on the edges of culture. But when the capacities they cultivate become crucial to collective well-being, they will be understood as having been far more central than they first appeared. And that's what I would like to remind everyone of who's out there today, working in your own way, writing in your own way, researching in your own way, putting out your material where you're able to do so, and continuing to improve through taking courses and getting certifications that are all about these new paradigms. And what I'm saying is that staying the course is critical for all of us now, because a new day really is dawning in this third millennium. And the opportunities that are coming up are only going to increase. And so, can one really prepare too much? I don't think so. Do we know what the opportunities are going to be? No. And that is an exercise in faith that all of us are playing a role and function in this amazing, interconnected universe whose very manifestation came from spirituality itself. And the power, therefore, of everything working in your life and in mine is not self-sourced power. It's the power of spirit. It's the power of evolution as it is manifested by spirit, working through us. So I'm excited about this, and I wanted to get this book publicized. You can order it now on Amazon if you care to do it. And I'm going to be interviewing a number of people who have made contributions to this book and pulling together these various concepts from science and from all these other diverse fields as they relate directly to the same principles found within the biblical narrative. The principles of unity and interconnectedness, and of values and defining values, and of relationships in marriages and families, and then personal transformation. As I look at my life specifically as the starting place for paradigm shifts to occur. So I'm very excited about being a part of this and being able to use the Presence podcast and videocast platform to bring a new approach to a long held story, so that when we look at the biblical narrative through new eyes, through an integral approach, we can truly see the greatest story never told. Now, what is going to happen is that Danae and I are going to leave Sunday on our annual 2-week anniversary trip. Danae and I made decision many years ago to dedicate anniversary to traveling, getting away, and spending time together to reflect on and focus on our relationship. I will not get into what Danae means to me in this podcast, or it'll end up being a 10-hour podcast. I can only tell you that these are times that really recharge my battery. And when I get back from the 2 weeks, I will be ready to rock and roll. I'll be ready to start pursuing these new conversations. So that's all I wanted to do, is briefly introduce the book, let you know what was happening with it, that we're a part of something really big that's happening across the entire planet, that these are global conversations for a new earth, that's exactly what we're looking for. And there will be much more to come. And that we'll be off for a few weeks, but then right back on it. So until then, I hope everything goes well in your world, your universe, and I will look forward to connecting with you soon.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or comments, please contact us at info@presence.tv. You can also visit our website at presence.tv or find us on Facebook. We look forward to hearing from you.